And this is a new report released today by the Pueblo County Jail Task Force. It shows overtime to keep the lid from blowing off of their overcrowded jail is nearly $600,000 over budget. And the cost is impacting other county resources. It's a statewide problem that has local leaders asking state leaders and taxpayers for help.
All you could do is keep your head up, the conditions, and hope they get better.
To find out how bad the jail overcrowding problem is in southern Colorado, we went straight to the maximum security floor in Pueblo County. Look at their living conditions. Inmates are staying 3 to a cell that is designed for 1.
The conditions have worsened so much it's not even funny. You got a jail built for 500 and some inmates, and they're cramming anywhere up to 900, 750, 800. The overflow problem is horrible. There's times where they only got enough toilet paper for 1 cell.
This inmate, who's awaiting a court date and for that reason didn't want to be identified, sleeps on the floor of his cell. When you guys are trying to get along in here and you're trying to do your thing, how difficult is that with 3 people in a cell?
Very, sir. Especially when you got a couple of guys like I got in here that they're real in tune to their bodies, they're working out every day. It turns into a rough situation. Inmates tell us it's simply more dangerous with so many people jammed into a facility. Jail leaders tell us 78% of the inmates are pre-sentenced. 58% of them are felons. A look around the state shows how common jail overcrowding is. This report was published by a state committee formed to look at jail funding and overcrowding. You can see how many jails across Colorado are struggling to find space. Of the 20 of 64 Colorado counties that responded to the survey, 7 of them reported being over capacity. Pueblo was the worst. The numbers show there are over 1,600 State Department of Corrections inmates in jails. How much more dangerous is it? A lot, because like I say, the tempers get flaring a lot more than they would normally, with just 2 guys in here. I myself stay in this boat. That's my way of life right there is a boat. You come in, you got a boat sitting right there.
Yes, a boat. With no cots or beds remaining, this Pueblo County inmate is sleeping in a boat provided by the jail to get him up off the floor. On this day, the Pueblo County Jail was housing 803 inmates. The building is designed for 509. Sheriff Kirk Taylor says the solution is needed today, but is likely years away.
I'm concerned about the safety of my officers. So as we increase in our population in the jail, my staffing has not increased. So my people have to work more hours. And when they work more hours, they get tired, and when they get tired, they make mistakes.
In the El Paso County Jail, there are 1,610 inmates on the day of our visit, a record high, we're told, since the jail was built.
We end up moving people around the facility quite often to keep segregations away from one another, co-defendants away from one another, and to free up available bed space for people who are just coming into jail that we don't know their history yet.
The State Department of Corrections tells News 5 they have just over 200 beds open for inmates in local jails. Not enough to make a dent in the problem. Is this something where everybody's kind of come together and said, look, we all know we all have a problem here?
The state might have 200 beds available right now, but we've got 200 parolees in our facility right now. Most of those have local charges, so they couldn't go back to the state facilities right now anyway, but if you combine that with the 50 or 60 DOC backlogged inmates we have, our facility could easily take those 200 beds today.
Lawmakers who sit on the county courthouse and county jail funding and overcrowding committee are studying what legislative fixes there might be, but any decisions are likely months or years down the road.
I think it's a good narrative to have. I think it's a good discussion to have. I think it's important that it's reached the state level. Unfortunately, there's some jails in the state, of which mine is the worst, as far as the overcrowding is concerned, that don't have a whole lot of time.
Wait and see. I'm hopeful. I think it's a very good sign that they've formed this committee and that they've actually taken steps to get together and discuss the problem, because we've gone years and years where people really never address the problems.
The situation is expensive. In Pueblo County, it's estimated that so far in 2017, there have been $1.8 million in budget overages. County leaders say that could grow to nearly $15 million by 2024. And while these decisions are being made, those at the center of the problem sit in jail and wait.
If you don't like it, don't come to jail. That's the solution.
Sheriff Taylor believes some of the problems can be fixed at the state level. He says legislation changed, which forces inmates to serve their local time before their state time. He says it keeps jails jam-packed. We'll continue to follow any developments both on the local and state levels in the coming weeks and months. Rob, Elizabeth?